So by default, the grids available under setup and grids is effectively an XY grid to do your PCBs in general. But if you've got some circular PCBs or arc PCBs, or you need to place components around a radius or anything like that, there's a feature called Polar Grid which allows you to kind of set something up. So if we look under Setup, Polar Grid, and Setup, we start off with some basic settings for kind of the start and end angles and the radius settings. So let's just start off with the location. So I'm just going to do 0, 0 as the location, and that's my origin point on my PCB. And you can see I get a preview of what the current grid settings up. So we're going to start on maybe something of 0 going up to 360. I want a full circular radius. Maybe I want the end radius to be 40, and the star radius I just want 20. And we can adjust the values for the step angle. So maybe I want it every 30 degrees. Maybe this one I want every, let's just do every 10. So I can simplify the grid and get exactly what I want. Once I'm happy with this, I'm just going to give it a symbol name. So let's just call it Polar Grid 1, and we'll apply that. And then the grid gets drawn onto the board, and you can physically see that. There's some different colors in the color settings. If we go to the color palette and look under the manufacturing, we've got effectively the TBX grid for a center dot, the line, and then the fines, the coarse lines and the fine lines and dots. So from a placement point of view, if we effectively use the setup Polar Grid, and then there's a place option, you can see obviously I've got place, and spin, and we can lock things based on the Polar Grid. So if I then select a component, if I pick an origin point, say let's go onto this point here, you can see effectively that then starts to rotate around that location point. So we can literally just come up and we'll pick the origin point again, and we'll rotate the parts round. Maybe pick a part and we'll pick that there. Maybe we'll pick that and we'll rotate it round. So you can very, very quickly just, it's almost like click and rotate to get the origin and the components placed on the correct grid. Once we've placed the components, we've got effectively, we can do the setup, Polar Grid, and route. So typical options pane, except we've now got some kind of coarse, fine, and system snapping. And again, do we want these kind of, how do we want the arcs to work? Do we want them to be an arc or a radius? So we can again set up these options here for how we want these. And then when I start to route, I click on a pin like I would normally. I'm going to click on the grid location, click on the grid location, click on the grid location. You can see it effectively coming down and changing the angle and following the Polar Grid. We'll just let's just add a via here, and then we'll go to the bottom of the board, and we can kind of go all the way around if we want and work our way round. If we don't follow the grid, obviously we'll just get a straight line, but on anything on the radius, it will effectively then just follow the radius as we go round. So a really useful feature for doing placing and routing on anything circular, radius, board-wise, that can really help you with your designs.